Hi, Collective. I'm Ancient. I have a message for someone. I want to clear up what it means to go through an ego death because an ego death does not mean that the person is changing for you specifically. We got to get out of this. I want that person. I want this person. And a lot of people are going to get pissed off when they hear me say that because if you continue to focus on other people, you're never going to grow because the relationship or situation is there to teach you a lesson. It's actually there to teach you more about yourself. So you have to identify, why do I need this person? Why do I need validation? Why do I need this person to want me? And why do I want them so bad? Ask yourself those questions, then reflect, go back even further. How was I raised? Was I raised in a way where my parents didn't tell me to value myself without the need for validation from other people? Did my family affirm self love? Did they teach me to analyze and think for myself? Was I raised in a balanced home? You got to ask yourself these questions on why the obsession and the need to be with a person is at the forefront of your own happiness. Put yourself first. Do not put other people in front of you. I find that men do this too, but I find that women have the hardest time understanding this. They'll say, well, what can I do to get him attached to me? Or what can I do to make him love me? You can't do anything. The only thing you can do is focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. And that's the hardest thing to do. It's the King and Queen of Swords is the hardest energy to master. The King and Queen of Swords is the energy that pulls away from emotion. And women have a hard time with pulling away from emotions. That's why they get caught up in insignificant relationships. That's why they get cheated on. I'm not saying that women don't cheat on men or whatever. I'm not saying that. But men understand, for those of you that are in those heterosexual relationships, you understand that once you have a woman emotionally, you got her hooked. Women haven't clocked that yet. They haven't clocked or picked up that men know this and they understand it's a way to hook a woman. So if you have a low vibrational man, you have someone that is unhealed, you have someone that has a lot of issues, or even ones that seem balanced. They know once they have a woman emotionally, they got her. So you have to protect your Queen of Cups energy and deal with people from a space of logic. So an ego death is about the self. And when someone goes through an ego death and they've done some sort of self reflection, that does not mean that they come out of it and wanting you. And even if they do come out of it and wanting you, that doesn't cancel out their negative behavior. That doesn't take away from the things that they've already shown you. That means that you need to graduate and use emotional intelligence and logic and say, okay, this person treated me like trash. I'm glad that they've evolved spiritually. I'm glad that they've gone through an ego death and they've become enlightened, but that doesn't take away from the stuff that they've done. That doesn't take away from how they treated me. So again, people keep making excuses. They make spiritual excuses, they make childhood trauma excuses. When I speak on those things, what I'm trying to get you all to understand is everyone is at a different path. They're on a different path, different levels spiritually and intellectually and emotionally, and that dictates how they operate in relationships. So you could be in love or wanting someone so bad who was abused, and then they'll abuse you and then potentially abuse the children, especially if they haven't been healed. And that goes for men too, having children with women who were abused or being in relationships with people that are abused, whether it's women, other men, whatever. okay? Because you're doing it based off of how the person makes you feel inside. But why are you holding on to someone that's abusive? Because that means that there's something within you that needs to be healed because you like it. Oh no, ancient, I don't like being abused. Okay, well then let the abusive person go. You see how that works? If you can't let the abusive person go, that means that you need some sort of therapy. You need to unlock why. Now, I understand what I'm saying. A lot of people are just not going to like it because it's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And it's coming from a place of compassion. I have compassion for you all, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to enable the behavior and saying, oh, it's okay, because it's not okay to continue the cycle of abuse because you like the feeling. Now, again, the ego death, the purpose of an ego death is the death of the self to evolve, to grow. So if someone's gone through an ego death, that doesn't mean that you're supposed to be with the person. And if you've gone through an ego death, typically that means that you've evolved out of that trauma and you're not going to even want them anyway if you've really gone through an ego death. If you've gone through an ego death, you're not sitting around wondering, oh, did they go through an ego death? Did they self-reflect? Okay, so maybe we could be together. No. You if your mindset is thinking that, you have not gone through an ego death, because when you've gone through a true ego death, you get enlightened and you see, okay, that was a lesson. I learned from it. I know what to look for next time. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to love that person, but you're not sitting around hoping, wishing, and praying that they come back to you, because you've evolved from that. You've grown from that. And it takes time. An ego death doesn't mean that you break up and then you have an ego death tomorrow because you're crying. No, it takes time. The ego death is a process. It's not just like 1 second, 2 second, a week, or a month. It's a process. So an ego death can take up a span of a year or 2 years because it's spiritual. So if you're still sitting around thinking, well, if they self-reflect and they think and they do this, maybe it'll heal, and I sit around, you haven't learned yet. And that's okay. Because you're going to end up learning. There's going to be other lessons that come in that's going to keep teaching you until you get it. And that's why you'll be in a cycle. That's why when the world card comes out, it represents cycles. When it comes out reverse, that means that you're not going to repeat a cycle and you're not going to have to go through it again. If you get a world card, that means that it's a cycle. That means that the lesson's going to come back and you're going to keep learning it over and over and over until you get it. It's not meant to be easy. Growth is not meant to be easy. Nothing in life that propels you to a different level is easy. I've said this before, an ego death is like lifting weights. You keep lifting, you're in the gym, you lift, it hurts, it's painful. Then you lift the same amount, then you're like, oh, this is light. I got to add more weight. That's exactly what it's supposed to feel like. All growth is challenging. It's like when you're studying for a test. You add more and more. You can't, I mean, some people can, but you don't go from division to calculus. You can. There's some geniuses out there. But what do? You evolve, right? You start with addition, then you learn how to subtract, right? Then you learn how to multiply, then you learn how to divide, then you do mixed multiplication, then you do, geometry, so on and so, pre-algebra. You grow. And you take what you learn from the beginning, you add to it. You learn your ABCs, you learn how to write your name. Everything in life is a growing process. It's the same thing when you become an adult and you're in these relationships. These relationships are meant to teach you a lesson. You're supposed to take something from it. What did you learn from it? What did that person teach you about yourself? Why did you wait around for the person to text you? Why did you neglect your children because you're worried about a man or a woman? You got to ask yourself, are these behavioral patterns healthy, and where did you develop them from? Break the cycle. Reflect on your mother or your father's relationships, or who you had around, if you had someone around. Was your mother the type of person that allowed abuse in the home? And how did it make you feel when you were a little child? Ask yourself all these questions. So, an ego death does not mean that the person is going to self reflect and then come out and be with you. Yes, sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. And it's that could be a part of their path. If you were the transformer in their life and you ignited a transformation within them, then yes, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be with them because it's a death. Something inside of them had to die and something inside of you had to die. And maybe what died within you was the fact that you wanted this person so bad, and now you've evolved from it and you realize that that wasn't a healthy choice for you. But if you haven't, that means you got some learning to do. You have patterns to identify. And to my fathers out there who are the first men in their daughters' lives, it's so beneficial to teach your daughter to operate from a space of logic at a young age rather than emotions. Think about the women that you've dated in the past and how insecure and emotional that they were. It's because they didn't have a father, or if they did have a father, there was no conversation about dealing with people from a space of logic. Also, the importance of validating your daughter when you are a father, letting her know that she doesn't need a man to validate her. She's beautiful, she's smart, she's compassionate, she's kind. So you keep affirming that within your daughter. When she grows up and she starts dating, she doesn't need anybody to validate her because it's already been instilled within her that she is amazing. So there's a lot of women out there and men, but I'm speaking to fathers right now. There's a lot of women out there that did not have that from their fathers. That's why they look for it in other men. They're constantly looking for validation, constantly looking for love, to the point where they'll even entrap themselves in relationships thinking that having a baby with the person is going to change, thinking that they have to do something within themselves to change themselves for the man to validate their self-worth and their value. And it all has something to do with fathers not having those conversations with their daughters. You know, and it works. It's important. Pull your pull your daughters aside and go out with them. Take them on daddy daughter dates. Go out with them. Show them what a gentleman is supposed how a gentleman is supposed to treat their daughter. So they become assimilated to that behavior. So they expect it and therefore they will attract it. If you don't, your daughters will attract men that's going to drag them, that's going to be abusive, that's going to be manipulative. It's important. Not just the financial aspect, that's common sense because everybody needs money to survive. But the support, the direction. You know, you always hear mothers speak about the need for fathers in their sons' lives, but fathers are also needed in their daughters' lives. So daughters know what to look for in relationships. The conversations I had with my father growing up was different than what I had with my mother because he's a man. Like, there's things that my father could tell me that my mother could never. And there's things that my mother could tell me that my father could never. So there is a benefit for having those conversations with both parents. And if you don't have a parent, find someone that is a great representation of emotional intelligence, respect, and someone that you can confide in to bring them around your son, to bring them around your daughter, but they need that. If you can't provide it, if you don't feel equipped to have those conversations, have somebody else have the conversation with them. Sometimes also people feel, oh, it's my child, I'm gonna raise them, but it takes a village sometimes. That behavior, when it's my child, the child suffers because there may be, some parents can't, resonate with their children, or their children can't resonate with them. Sometimes it's an uncle or an aunt or a cousin or a play cousin or a play sister, play uncle or whatever, or their best friend's mom that resonates with them. It don't always have to be you as a parent, and you shouldn't get offended by that your child doesn't resonate with you, because sometimes that just happens. But there is somebody out there that can resonate, because guess what? If somebody else doesn't resonate with them, the TV, social media, a celebrity is going to teach them. And you don't want celebrities teaching your children nothing. You don't want social media teaching your children a damn thing. So the purpose of ego death is the self, not the self to grow and still be with somebody and chase somebody. No, it's the concept of the self. And everyone's constantly going through ego death. You don't just go through one, you go through many ego deaths in your lifetime. And they're ignited through connections, through situations. The quicker you learn that it's about you and your relationships and how you show up, the more balanced and stable you will become. Because that means you're no longer giving your power away to other people. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.